is actually a bespoke letterpress stationery company. We help customers to customize wedding invitation, business cards, and sometimes corporate stationery using the 600 years old century technique of letterpress to make the prints for themselves. It was all started with a business card because 5 or 6 years ago we were all a web designers and some commercial photographers in the partners team. At that point of time, we were looking for premium business cards to literally translate your taste and your appreciation of good quality products on the card itself whenever you go around and meet the customers. And we were looking for the letterpress business card back then. Unfortunately, there's no one doing that in Malaysia, so we can't find anyone doing that. We actually spent almost like a year doing research online and go around different printer places in Malaysia, like Pudu, Brickfields, Kapong and so on. But there's no one actually know what we are trying to achieve. And then we found out that someone is doing something like a letterpress link card online. And we find that it's very fascinating with the quality of the depth that is being pressed onto the cards. So we went all the way to Melbourne to pick up the craft, to learn about it, to find out more about how it works. Then when we fly back here, we think this is something that's very interesting to explore more. And hence the born of the Letterpress. Letterpress was actually the first printing method that dated back around 600 years ago. Back then, for every single books or written materials you see, it was actually hand copied one by one, from one copy to another copy. So the process of actually duplicating the content was very slow back then because we have to copy by hand one by one using a writing method. But because of the invention of letterpress printing, a lot of the text is very movable. You can compose the letters or the words into a sentence using a job case where they house all the letters, and then you just typeset it one by one and create a form. We call it like a template, a mold, to make the prints. So because of that, we can actually easily duplicating the process more efficiently and even much faster. So that is actually the mother of all printing. It is true that letterpress printing is a very niche market, but most of our clients are the ones who actually appreciate the quality of the print. And when you actually hold a piece of letterpress printed cards compared to a normal commercial printed card, you can actually see the depth and the tactile quality being pressed on the cards. So people who came to us, they appreciate the kind of crispness, the sharpness that we can make on the print. And especially we can print it on very thick cotton papers, which are not easily achievable in other modern printing techniques. Letterpress is actually a sunset industry. It was very challenging when we first started because most of the materials and the machinery, the printing tools that we need to import all the way from other countries, like the overseas countries. Especially like the cotton papers they were using, 450 grams, 600 grams. These 100% cotton papers have to import directly into Malaysia in order for us to make the prints. But thankfully, after a few years of operations and runnings and continuous efforts of educating the public what is letterpress and what is the benefit or the quality of a letterpress print, we are able to sustain now. Yeah.
Hi, I'm ZJ. I'm co-founder of the Alphabet Press. So I'm actually the printmaker here in TAP. So what I'm doing here is mainly like on the technical side, doing the printing, and sometimes we serve customers as well. So when we're talking about letterpress nowadays, we no longer using lead types. It's a very old method where we use like all the different sizes of different fonts and types to make a print. So nowadays we're using polymer plates. So we call it the contemporary letterpress because nowadays we can actually make a design on our computer in Illustrator's Photoshops. We make an artwork out of it and we can actually produce something like this, the plates. So this is the polymer plates, but you need to like actually output a negative film. We put on top of this plate is actually a flat surface and we expose it into UV light. So the part that exposes actually will be hardened. The part that is not, you can wash it out. So it become raised surface and it looks like something like a 3D block. but it's actually we call it nylon. So that's how we make contemporary letterpress nowadays. Well, the modern printing nowadays is very fast, efficient, and you can print a lot of colors. Why I like about letterpress printing is because of the tactility of the print. It's something that you can touch and feel. It's something that actually nowadays, all the modern printing, you cannot actually do the similar things in compared to letterpress. So in letterpress, we usually use very thick paper. We make an indentation on the paper, what we call the bite impression. So what you see in nowadays digital printings, offset printing is actually kiss impression. Is actually a touch on the paper, so it become a flat printing, something that you cannot touch and feel. So that's why I like about letterpress printing. The most difficult part to start the letterpress printing here in Malaysia is it's really hard to find the right tools and materials in Malaysia because it's getting obsolete. So you can still see a lot of old printers, but in a right and good condition one is really hard to find. So we keep looking for it, and over the course of like a year, we only able to find the machine that we need. And it took us like almost two months to convince the owner to let go the machine and give it to us. Yeah. We get this letterpress machine from a retired printer in Brickfield. So we find this guy and this veteran printer who want to get retired. So we want to let go the machine, but it took us like 2 months to convince him to actually let go the machine to us because we are not in the printing industry. So he kind of get skeptical on why we want to get this machine, whether we know how to operate it. And of course, there's a huge problem when we're talking about the maintenance of it, because this machine is very old. They no longer produce it, and they stopped production in 1984, if I'm not mistaken. So in order to fix it, you basically have to get another machine and get bad parts and change it to this current machine. So it's more like a classic car kind of things, but still there is people who are able to fix the machine, but it's very old. The guy that helped me to fix the machine is almost 73 years old, and that's the huge problem that we are kind of facing in the future.
I don't think so. I don't think alphabet press will be eliminated one day. It's just about how you plan to do it. So back at Alphabet Press here, we actually began this whole letterpress journey to preserve the craft, and then we want to revive the craft. By reviving the craft, we want to make it relevant again. What do I mean by relevant again is, if you produce something, even though a product or a print that is not relevant to the society, means it's something that is outdated, people don't want it anymore, then of course any kind of business also cannot sustain any longer, right? We want to blend it into the modern world, even though we're using a very old printing technique. That's just a technique, but we can use the technique to produce a lot of different content, a lot of different product that is relevant to the modern society. That's how I see Alphabet Press will continue to do it in a different manner.